Now, making his radio debut. Now, not his media debut, but his radio debut. We have a special guest, Isaiah Tuck, in studio. Now, when I say media debut, you're a TV star. You're a big TV guy, but you've never been on the radio.
No, sir. Never been on.
Okay, so what's more impressive, the radio or the TV?
Oh, well, there's a lot more.
Radio.
There's a lot more flashing lights in this room than when I was on the TV shows. So.
There you go.
Now the TV show didn't give you free coffee, did they?
No, sir, not in the least. But
matter of fact, they didn't. I was going to say they didn't give you free anything.
They didn't give you anything.
Now Isaiah is on the season 11 of the program Alone, which originally airs on the History Channel, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we're not going to give away any spoilers because you were telling us that a lot of people wait till it drops on Netflix, which it has not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so we're not going to give away any spoilers, but I do want to ask you, at some point I want to talk about you're allowed to take 10 things, right?
Yes, sir.
And we've got a list of those 10 things. I want to at some point talk about that. But let's talk about the experience of being on TV. What, man?
How did you get on the show?
That?
Yeah, why would you want to be dropped off in the middle of nowhere with nothing to survive? And how did you do that?
Oh, it's just been something I've been wanting to do for the longest time. I've always been a fan of the show, and I've been applying since season 3, I believe. And lo and behold, just a couple years ago, I was in a crawl space underneath a trailer, and I got an email from the company, and it rocked my world, and I just jumped right on it. But it's just always been a dream of mine to test those skills, coming from a background where, my parents let me play out in the woods, when I was growing up, and it's getting to relive that childhood again.
Right.
Fantastic.
So, first of all, you're from Gent.
Yes.
Born and raised in this area, or?
I grew up in Raynell.
Raynell. Oh, okay. All right. So, out there in the mountains. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, taking those skills, and now you're working for the DNR.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us a little bit about what you do there.
I'm a game warden for the DNR, and I've been working in the Hatfield-McCoy trails, patrolling the trails for the last 10 years now.
Wow.
And I work in Mercer, McDowell, and Wyoming counties.
So state of McDowell.
You're a DNR cop. That's what you are.
Yes, sir.
Basically. All right. Now, we do want to mention that Isaiah's going to be joining us at the hunting and fishing show coming up next weekend.
Right. The inaugural hunting and fishing show coming up February 7th and 8th.
Which is sold out.
Yeah. The vendor spaces are sold out. You're going to be there visiting with people. We just kind of get a sneak preview of what you're going to be sharing with them at the hunting and fishing show.
Now let me ask you, what happens if somebody wants you to sign their boob? Are you going to do it? I mean,
You better believe I'm going to do it.
I'm there, man.
I've reached the point. I've acclimated.
He was like, okay, that works.
That's a good part of celebrity, right?
Okay, so the premise of the show Alone is that there are 10 people,
yes,
right? 10 people get dropped off in the wilderness of, this one's in Canada, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Wilderness in Canada. They give you camera gear. You get to take 10 things, and you have to survive as long as you can.
You don't have a crew with you, though, right?
There's no camera crew. It's all the filming is by yourself.
Really?
Really? Wow. Okay. So, was it cold?
It got pretty chilly.
Yeah.
It was the coldest location they've had yet on the TV show.
And how did you feel about that?
Oh, I didn't mind too much. I had good gear, and I stay warm-blooded. So
do you really?
He had a plan. I can tell you. Can I give? This really isn't a spoiler, but he knows that if you go into the ground, there's heat in the ground.
Geothermal heat.
I saw part of an interview you did where you're talking about how you did your shelter, and I'm very ingenious.
Yeah.
He knows.
He knows. Now, did you know where you were going?
They gave us an idea of an area to plan for. They said that we'd be right on the edge of the frozen tundra, and that was about it. And that plan on it being a really wet area, And
wet and cold.
So that's basically what they gave us.
Yeah.
And was it wet and cold?
It was very wet and cold.
Very wet and
Now,
cold.
there is a term that that Rick came across. We wanted to ask you about that you had heard in one of the interviews.
Drop shock.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now what is drop shock? Because I'd never heard of that before, and I watch a lot of reality TV. I've never heard of that.
That's an item coined by the Alone participants that once you get dropped off, your plans that you've already created go out the window. Your intention on being there gets questioned in your mind.
Right.
Your resolve gets really tested the second you're dropped off.
Is that a real thing then?
Oh, very much so. In fact, on episode 1, you'll be able to see me actually facing my own version of drop shock. It's very intense psychologically.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So you had to power through that. So not only do you have the physical part of it, you have the mental part of it, knowing that you're on your own.
Yeah, it's a push.
Now, that was going to be my next. Which is harder in your opinion, the physical or the mental?
The mental, for sure.
Really? Because you've prepared for the physical.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, how much preparation do you do when you find out that you're going to be on the show, and then you've got time to prepare? What's the time frame on that?
About 3 weeks.
That's it?
They tell you.
Kiss your friends goodbye.
They tell you. Well, you're not allowed to tell your friends.
Oh my gosh!
So
how did you
just disappear?
This is West by God, man. How did you keep that a secret?
How many texts did you get when you got back? How many? Why you ghosted me, man? What?
My phone was tore up. It was horrible.
Oh gosh!
You can't even tell your. I mean, obviously you can tell your spouse.
You have to tell somebody.
Yeah, there's certain members of your family you're allowed to tell.
Yeah.
But they have to sign NDAs as well.
Non-disclosure agreement.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And before you go out, you got to keep it as tight-lipped as possible.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because there's always that one person. Telephone, telegraph, tell John, or whatever his name is, right? Who did you not tell on purpose because you knew they wouldn't be able to keep a secret?
Well, I won't name drop, but I have a certain group of friends that I could not disclose.
Because there's
no way.
It
would have been all over the place.
They would have not. They would not have been able to keep it a secret.
We are talking to Isaiah Tuck. He was in the TV show Alone, season 11. He's going to be joining us at the hunting and fishing show next weekend at the Raleigh County Convention Center. Now, I do want to ask you this. Now you've got a little girl.
Yes.
And how old is she now?
My daughter is 3 years old,
She's 3 years old.
And I have a boy now that's 1 month old.
Yay!
Well, look at you.
Yeah.
You didn't waste any time. Go right ahead.
Now, I've watched in all the reality shows I've watched, where in those situations where people are off somewhere doing something, they always say, I'm doing it for my family, or I miss my family. Now when you're doing it for your family, because you want to win the prize, of course, but how bad is it? How bad is the miss my family aspect of it?
It's intense because
really?
You go out there with the intent of I'm doing this for my family, but then you also have the thought of, well, what am I doing for them by leaving them alone?
Right.
And so it's pretty tough mentally.
Man.
I can imagine. Let's talk about what you took with you.
Oh, okay. Here's the list.
So, Rick, you've got that list?
Here you go.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
So, let's see. Sleeping bag, obvious. Multi-tool, why not? A pot.
Mm-hmm.
That would be for cooking.
Water, mostly for boiling water.
Okay.
That was my biggest item with that. So the pot was multi-purpose. It was a cast iron type. Well, not a cast iron. It was aluminum, but it was a larger pot with a lid, and size limit was 2 quarts.
Okay.
And so I could use the lid for anything from using it as a skillet or items such as that, and the pot for just carrying berries, boiling water, all the above. Washing clothes. it came in handy.
See, now you would think of all that. I would never think of anything.
I wouldn't think of that. Ferro rod. What? I'm not familiar with that.
That's short for a ferrocerium rod, and it's you strike it with a piece of steel, and it sends sparks off at about 1,500 degrees. And
okay.
That way you can light a fire pretty easily with it if you have a bunch of dry tinder. But they don't allow like matches and and or like lighters or anything like that.
Okay.
The ferro rod is about as close to comfort.
What you can use.
Yeah,
okay.
comfort as you can have.
All right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Bows and arrows, fishing line and hooks. Obviously, you've got to forage. Tatanka need
Yep.
food.
Uh-huh.
Then we have the shovel to bury stuff.
Well, I wasn't entirely sure what kind of shelter I was going to build, but I knew I wanted it to be in the ground.
Okay.
And so I decided to take a shovel with the edges sharpened so I could use it as a hatchet.
So you sharpened it even more before you went.
Yes. I sharpened it, the edges into a blade. That way I could use it as a hatchet because I replaced an axe with a shovel.
Okay. Paracord, that's that like nylon.
Yes, ma'am.
Tie down cord. Okay. A saw, which is
Makes sense, yeah.
Makes sense, yeah. And snare wire.
Mm-hmm.
Would you snare?
There's quite a few things that I got in there, but mostly squirrels.
Mostly squirrels.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're from West Virginia. You know what to do with a squirrel.
I'm all about squirrel hunting.
Was there any other like animals that you were like, ooh,
Now,
like
Yeah, that
it's
was
a
scary.
wolf, it's a bear. It's
my site was covered up in wolves, and every night they'd be just howling all around me.
did you get scared?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
The biggest reason was because there was also a mother grizzly bear on my property, and it had a cub with it.
Oh,
And so
Great.
that was
Yeah.
that was terrifying.
man.
When everybody else got little fish in a brook and you're stuck with the bear. You know?
Well, everyone had their fair share of scary stuff. There's no doubt about that.
Now let me ask you this. Now I'm gonna ask you a practical question. Okay, I can imagine eating squirrel meat, but not without ketchup. How did you have any seasoning or anything, or just basically maybe find some berries and squash it on there?
Did not take any salt and pepper with him, Rick. I'm sorry.
How do you prep the food, or do you just cook it and eat it?
The only berry I found that was good for flavoring was juniper berries.
Yeah.
And they work pretty good. If you like gin, that's what juniper berries taste like.
Oh yeah.
And
There you go.
yeah, and then actually my favorite thing about the squirrels, my favorite food while I was out there was I always heard old timers talking about eating squirrel brains. But my favorite wasn't even the brains. It was the eyeballs.
Oh God.
No lie.
What is the texture of a? What's the texture? Does it just pop, squish in your mouth? Is it
Yeah,
like
kind of like those little boba tea.
Oh God.
Yeah. So if I ruin boba tea for people there.
Oh my God.
Somebody's holding a cup right now going, well, I can't drink this now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Isaiah Tuck. I will see you at the hunting and fishing show. Watch everybody bring you bobas. Everybody bring Isaiah bobas at the hunting and fishing show.
Or if you happen to have a couple squirrel eyeballs, little
little squirrel tails, let's, honor him properly here.
We should have gotten Isaiah involved in a game of canned food roulette.
Oh, that
the game
would
we
have
used to
been
play
fun.
where you have to pick a can, no label, and you got to eat what's in it. Yeah. So,
But he's looking like, oh my gosh, I was like, I'm down for anything.
I am.
Isaiah Tuck from the History Channel program Alone. He is going to be at the hunting and fishing show next weekend, visiting with people, and you can stop by his booth there. There's going to be so many vendors. This is going to be great.
Do you know when the season 11 is dropping on Netflix? Have they told you that yet?
They haven't, because they don't announce. They drop it when the new season comes out on History Channel.
Okay.
And so usually it's in the June time frame.
So this season 11 was last season.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Okay.
This is recent.
Yes, sir.
Wow. And congratulations on the baby boy. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's great news.
Congratulations. So, again, you can find all 11 seasons through, I think it's on the Discovery Channel, the Discovery Plus has the History Channel there.
Well, I looked on my app and I couldn't find season 11. I guess
there's a few
There's a few
platforms
episodes,
like Sling, if anyone has Sling.
Okay.
They have the newest episodes on there.
Okay, cool.
And the History Channel app itself did for a while, but I think they're locked now unless you're like a paid member of it or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll check into that.
Pretty sure that's all
be on
through
Netflix,
Discovery.
Eventually here on Netflix as well.
Yeah,
Cool. Good
absolutely.
deal.
Isaiah, thanks for coming in.
Definitely.
So
Thanks
nice
for
to
having
meet
me.
you.
This has
Yeah.
been so much fun. And of course, we could talk to you all day about this. But congratulations. We look forward to seeing you February 7th and 8th at the Beckley Raleigh County Convention Center for our inaugural hunting and fishing show.